From this to this.
You are all successful. Equally, each and every one of you here right now carries the same accountable success in your business, unless you choose otherwise. Man, do I have a treat for you today, guys. So I'm at the Cake and Ale, what was it, a wine bar? I mean, it does everything here. I mean, we're going to meet the staff in a minute, but we're at the Cake and Ale in Mumbles. And we've got an amazing guest with us today, Joy Ogeh-Hutfield, probably one of the most motivational people I've met in my life. So yeah, so we're going to be interviewing her when she arrives in a couple of minutes, but in the meantime, I'm going to relax at the Cake and Ale in Mumbles. Come in, Miss World. Here she comes. I mean, look at how beautiful this lady is. I mean, look at this. You are drop dead gorgeous, girl. You are. And I am so stoked. You know, the light behind us is not doing much to really show how amazing this is. So what I want to do, come round, Joy. Let's come round and grab the. Let's see this lady come in front. Oh wow! Now we are getting the full picture of this girl. She is stunning. You know what?
Right.
She's stunning.
This is for you. Well, it wasn't meant to be captured on camera, but it's always an honor when somebody invites me to their show, and it's the least I can do. So just a little something for you, Paul, to say I really appreciate you inviting me, and thank you so much.
I love you so much, girl. We've known each other a long old time. We have.
We have
Okay,
indeed.
so we're going to crack on here.
Okay, cool.
Happy days. Boom, and here we are, and welcome to Lifestyle Business Design YouTube channel. And today is probably one of the most exciting days of my year. Now, this lady in front of me, we've known each other for some time, but if I'm being truthful, it's hard to keep up as to what's new about this lovely lady, because you take the word, and let me, before I introduce you, and though you don't need introduction, but you take the word transformation and put meaning to it. Because the word transformation or transformational is such an overused word, as is business coach and all these things over the last many years. But the authenticity to this lady in front of me here, to that word as a meaning that resonates with the core of Mother Nature. Now, for those who don't know, and I wouldn't know why you wouldn't know this lady, I have in front of me Joy Ogeh-Hutfield. I mean, a double barrel. You weren't contented with just one surname. You had to have Ogeh-Hutfield. It's like New York, New York. It's like you put two in there, and really. And you know, Joy, thank you first for coming on the show. And, thank you. We are sharing today's broadcast with the YouTube and the radio show, which I have to edit and input in later, guys. But we have two shows running here. And you are one of the smartest thinking business people that I've met in my 19 years of business. You truly are. Thank you. Look at that coffee and everything's going on here. You know what I mean? Wow, this is what you call a coffee. Cake and ale. You have stuck fast in who you are, what you are, and why you are. And all that is rounded by one of the most, I'm going to say, when you presented this word to me many years ago when we met, it meant nothing until the way you said to me was purpose. Purpose. Now, I'm not sure how many books have actually been published since we've met and up to today, but I know they're like confetti because you have so much to say and so much to give. You're one of the most caring, sharing people I've met. So with our opening, I want to say thank you. Thank you for coming on the show, and thank you for being here, and we're going to share some amazing philosophies here
honestly,
today.
Paul, I mean, I know you've said all those wonderful, kind words, and I truly appreciate it. But I must say, Paul, when I was asked to do this, it has to be a fantastically yes. Absolutely yes. Because you are one of the most incredible business leaders.
Bless you.
And you know, I know later on we're going to be talking about, you know, leadership and the rest of it. But I have known you for a long time now. And, you know, your way, the way in which you approach the world is also from an incredible different lens. And I just complimented what you're wearing today. And I said, you know, you dress, you speak unapologetically. You know, you do Paul. And I'm thinking, okay, wow.
Bless you, girl. Well, listen, I want this to be a one-way thing today, okay?
Right.
Because I know that you are someone that you are very, very open to how you feel about people and giving people the true essence of goodness. But let's make this one way. I want to do it almost like this is your life joy. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, wow, okay.
Although if I had more time to prep, I would have gone round the whole family and maybe our next one is going to be this is your life joy. But here's the thing: is that let's go back to the word motivational, because you are a motivational coach. I believe there's no such thing as a lazy person, only an unmotivated person.
That's right.
But the word motivation and motivational are somewhat diluted or being diluted, because lots of people have claiming through, you know, whichever event they've experienced in life, they suddenly become a motivational person. Yeah. Do you feel that the word motivation has somewhat lost its traction a little? Because you really understand the depth of what motivation is, and you do. But you feel that the copying of it has become diluted somewhat in the industry, in the knowledge industry.
I mean, well, you're right. It's an interesting word, motivation. And in fact, my first book was titled The Secret to Motivating Your Team. That was my first book. And indeed, in that, I looked at motivation. And what I've come to realize is that motivation has to be personal. It needs to be personalized to the individual. What does it mean to you?
Yeah.
And that's where we're stuck, because when we take a word such as motivation, you know, and just use that almost as a yardstick in terms of getting us to do things, getting us to achieve it, we somehow start to use other people's definition of motivation on us.
Yeah.
And what happens, you're not able to achieve, because what motivates one person is not necessarily what is going to motivate somebody else.
So motivation is certainly an emotional fingerprint then.
Indeed,
we
it is.
say that.
Yes.
And how does one find that fingerprint? We're born with it.
Yes.
And then you know, this is how I see. We're born with a drive to experience. That's what we're born with. Because, you know, we are designed to put together our puzzle of life, then find another puzzle and find another puzzle and keep going. But then somewhat that motivation gets dried up a little from what will be the inconsistencies of support. Mom, dad, siblings, friends, ex-wives, ex-husbands, whatever it may be there. So how does one get back to the authenticity of what motivation is for that person?
Absolutely. Again, another wonderful, wonderful question. One of the best
I
ways...
want to say before I come, I
yes.
psych myself up to think of the most technical questions I can.
That's a brilliant
because I know that you love the layers of stuff. So I was lying there in bed last night thinking, okay, technical. Yeah.
But that's a great question. And in terms of, you know, how do you kind of get that motivation? And we're going back to the basic. It starts with the self. You see, if you think about...
You said
the self.
The self.
The self. Because without you understanding who you are, without you understanding what you are about, without you understanding what you exist to do, you will always lack the motivation to do.
Wow, these are such layered but Mother Nature questions. You know, what you exist to do.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
I think that 99% of the population would not find that answer. Do you agree?
Well, absolutely, because the reason they wouldn't find that answer is that whether we are in leadership, whether we're in business, the emphasis for most people is wrong, even if I have the audacity to say that.
Yeah.
Because we are busy chasing rather than actually understanding ourselves. The minute you give meaning to who you are as a person. And this is where purpose comes into it. Then you are able to give meanings to the things that you do.
Wow, wait, I am going to keep cutting in you because you, when you speak, there's so much power to what you're saying. I almost want to come in and sort of, I don't know, make it, no, how can I say this? I want to come in and say, okay, let me just segment that little bit there. Because, you know, when we think about people on day to day, most people are casually going through their life unconsciously.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
So you have to be conscious to find these ingredients that you were talking about here.
Yes.
Tell me what conscious thinking feels like, or conscious life. How do we become conscious?
Well, I'll bring another word to that, because consciousness can again be looked at in different ways. But let me bring another word, which is intentionality.
Let me just say that again.
Intentionality.
Oh my God, that is like another word for Christmas.
Yes.
That's beautiful. Is that like a joy word, or is it intentionality?
So intentionality is back to that consciousness. There's an intention to what you do. There's an intentionality about your day, about how you conduct yourself, how you conduct your day. What is it that you want out of your life? So when we talk about intentionality, we're not going back to the old ways of que sera, what will be, would be.
Yeah.
You know, so we're just going to sit, it's all going to happen, it's going to fall on our lap. There has to be an intentionality of what that design, I mean, you are all about life design, but there has to be an intentionality of what that looks like. Because until we understand what that looks like, then you're not likely to be able to be intentional in achieving it.
How do we find what that looks like if we are blind to our own life?
Right.
That means lots of people are blind to their own life.
Well, yes, well, absolutely. And that is the desire. So a lot of people, let's say a lot of business people in the business world, we want, you know, to see profit. We want, you know, new business. We want clients. We want all those things. And it's amazing. But however, there has to be foundations to how that happens. And a lot of businesses, and I have coached, you know, numerous business owners, is that they jump straight into the business plan. They jump straight into, okay, you know, I'm going to get a loan. This is what I'm going to do, without actually working on themselves, because they forget that they are the ones that have to deliver. You see, if you're not right as a person, if your mindset is not tuned to success, there is no way, no matter how brilliant your products are, they would not do well.
Let's talk about that word success. Because again, this word has been stretched out.
That's right.
And completely overdressed or underdressed. So the word success, you know, for many is almost a word we don't want to hear anymore, because it's like, oh, you know, I don't want to be successful. You know, but success comes from happiness. You know, happiness is what creates the success of your life, of your business, and so on there. But how could we simplify an understanding of success for our viewers to think, okay, now because people see success in a monetary sense, which for me is one of the most saddest way to see success in a monetary level. So if we were to simplify success, what does that look like to you?
Again, a fantastic question. So many people, you're right, many people are wanting to be given a definition of success. And that is where the problem lies. Because when you take somebody else's yardstick on what success means, it means that you could actually be going in a totally different direction that is not connected to what you have been called to do. So we're back to the same thing again. When I work with my coachees, the first day, we are looking at definition of success. What is your definition of success? Yeah, because success ultimately is linked to values. You see, what you value becomes your roadmap to how you achieve what you want to achieve. You see, so when you define success, so for example, the way you define success really encapsulates how your business will flow or how your life will flow. So if I define success and I say, okay, success for me, is about adding value. Success for me is about having that sense of contribution, sense of growth, sense of, giving back.
Yeah.
Then whatever I do, the design of my business, of my life, will flow in that direction. So when that success begins to happen, I know when I start to feel fulfillment, when I start to feel joy, when I start to feel happiness, I say, I am a success.
Wow. So what we are heading to here is you have to really be able to hear yourself.
And give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to spend time with you. You are your greatest asset, your greatest resource as an individual. Without finding that out, anything you do from a different space will not be successful.
I almost want to jump up and just run round because I love these deep dives we have. You know what I mean? It's like it's amazing. But let's you've had to really work on pulling yourself back many times in your life. There was cancer.
Yes,
Mike had to
yes,
say that.
yes. Oh, yes, yes.
You fought through cancer, and when you get through that type of life challenge, one, you realize, well, maybe I wasn't one of God's chosen few, but I have to make myself one of God's chosen few.
That's right. That's right.
Because I remember you saying there was like, okay, I have to do this for myself.
That's right.
Let's talk. Let's touch on that journey if we can.
And thank you so much, Paul. It was a very definitive time for me. I had my first business then. I was in, I still do, similar, but it was leadership, diversity, and entrepreneurship. And of course, not a big chunk at that time was coaching, but coaching underpinned. So it was almost like we was flowing through in terms of the strategies and the skills that I used to be able to bring about those results.
Yeah.
So I was very heavily in the corporate world. And so that was, so if you looked at me at that time, you would say, oh my God, what a successful lady.
Yeah.
Everything was going well. The contracts were flying in. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
But deep down, I knew that although I was getting those results, I deep down was not a happy person.
Wow.
I was not fulfilled because something was missing. I had fallen into that race trap. I was earning. I was having money. I was chasing money.
Yeah.
And it took its toll. I didn't see it coming, Paul.
Wow.
I did not see it coming. Out of the blue, 2011, I was diagnosed with a rare form of skin cancer. My world of success that I felt I have arrived suddenly came crashing down.
Wow.
I was facing death.
Wow.
I lay on the hospital bed, and it was as such that it had to be operated immediately.
Oh, really? Wow.
And so, as I was about to be wheeled into the theater, I thank God that I was brought up in a Christian home. And I remember as a child, although I hadn't embraced God fully as I should have, but I remember the Sunday school days. And I thought, and I was lying there and I said, God, I think I need to have a conversation. I don't want to die. I've got 3 kids, for crying out loud. I've got a husband. And the fear was so intense. And I reached out to God. In my spirit, I was talking to him, and I'm saying, God, I don't want to die.
Yeah.
Give me more years. I need to live. And in that conversation, as if it was an instant response, I heard a voice in my mind in form of a question. And he asked me, what have you done with the 42 years I gave you?
Oh,
now,
wow.
that was a question.
Wow, man.
I thought, yeah. What have I done with the 42 years? What exactly? What is there to show for it apart from, okay, I made money, I changed a few lives. But what did I really do with the 42 years?
Wow.
And then he went on to ask me, what would you do differently if I gave you more years?
Yeah.
Now, that was a question, Paul.
And
that was a question.
And that was the pivot point
That
for
was
you?
it. That was it. And I said to God, I said, listen, if I come out of this alive, because I wasn't sure whether I was going to come out alive.
Really? Wow.
If I come out of this alive,
Yeah.
I will reevaluate. I will answer the question. Obviously, right now I'm not able to answer the question, Lord, because I'm scared.
We're in panic,
So I'm panicking. So I'm
Yeah.
thinking, but give me that chance, and I'll come back and answer that question. If I live long enough to do that.
Wow.
And that was it. So this is where purpose was born.
Yeah.
I had lived
Wow.
life to that point
Yeah.
with not a clear sense of purpose. I was an achiever,
Yeah.
but without a purpose.
So that deep dive, effectively, in that moment in the
That was it.
theatre, actually sort of give you the true essence of what purpose
That's right.
meant.
That's right, for me.
Because when we see the word purpose, we actually just read it, but we don't feel it. But you do.
Oh, gosh, yes.
You do, because when you say purpose, it comes from the core of you. You say like purpose.
Yes, yes.
It's like, oh,
Yes,
I
yes.
did it. It caught my breath when you said to me the first time, oh my God, that's purpose. That's what it is. Yeah, truly. But let's come back. You know, you have coached all over the world.
Yes, I have.
And with some amazing people.
Yes, right.
And amazing businesses. Let's just run through some of the books, just for the sake of running through some of the books. I don't know how far back we can go, but what I do know is you tend to just lock yourself away in a hotel for a couple of days. Is that what you do? Yeah.
I like to go to those retreat hotels, nice fancy grounds, and it's grand. And I always think if you want grand ideas, surround yourself with lovely grand things. Then you would think that way.
That's boot.
I mean, nothing wrong with B&B, but you're just thinking my mind is too large for that. I need grandeur, to kind of get the juices flowing.
But you put a lot into your books, and because you want people to get a lot out of them. Because I always say when you read one of Joy's books, you don't ask what you got out the book, but you ask what the book got out of you.
Yeah.
When you read one of your books, it's definitely that approach for sure.
Yeah.
But you started writing as early back as when did you actually start writing? Let's dig into the archives here.
I started writing from the age of, oh my gosh, from the age of 15.
Wow, really?
Because I started with poetry. Interesting, not a lot of people know that. So
No.
I've actually got a poetry book out, but yes.
You were a poetry
Yes,
book?
and I had a few published. So
Wow.
I was doing that because so the thing with words was a great way of kind of expressing myself, expressing my thoughts.
Poetry.
And,
It's just boot.
so, but one of the things that I want to get across, and one of the reasons I started writing poetry was I studied English.
Okay.
And I also went my A-levels and did English literature. And I was always very, it got at me because a lot of the words that were being taught, and I mean Shakespeare and all those things which you had to study, never made sense. To be fair, I passed, but I just thought, surely it could have been said with a fewer words and really connect to people's hearts. Do you know what I mean? And the beaten and right. So I was really conscious. So when I, decided to write, and like you can see from the books, I speak.
Yeah.
So it's me almost speaking directly to you.
Yeah.
And I've been told that actually when people go through my coaching books, they can actually picture me talking to them on a one-to-one.
Oh, wow.
And that's what I wanted to come across.
Yeah.
So it's not it's cutting off the jargon.
Yeah.
It's getting to the point where people can go, you're talking to me. Without using unnecessary fancy words that you have to use a dictionary to first to dissect before you get the meaning. So that's really has run through. So my first book, like I said, Secret to Motivating Your Team. I was doing a lot of work at that time with teams.
Okay.
Transformational work with teams because businesses.
How early was this when you started your transformational work? Because, I'm just for our viewers and listeners, we're in the Cake and Ale here, and it's a busy little place, and this is why we come here, because we like to be in the open, and Joy likes to be around people.
Yes.
So, but, when you started your transformational coaching, it was a different understanding to what it is now, even though for much has been diluted by the poor quality of transformational coaching. And I will say that, I'll stick my neck out and say that. But how was it accepted in those early days?
You see, that was interesting because so you had the transformational and then you had the style.
Okay.
You had the style. So I kind of went in because obviously, and I did a lot of work around diversity as well. But I mean, most people know that about the work that I did. And at that time, it's one of those subject matters that people were like, oh my God, it's a tick box exercise, and people were afraid and the rest of it. But same as any other training, people were like, well, it's not for me, I don't know about that. So I went with a whole totally different approach. I mean, I had my training courses, we were doing role plays. I mean, we were debating. I was saying, get it out. Oh yes, get it out. Say it as it is. And people started to, my God, this is different, because the approach was, it wasn't because I wanted to tell them anything. No. They had knowledge as well as I did.
Yeah, yeah.
So I went into it as a point to encourage people to really understand themselves, dig deep, open up. You know, bring that authenticity out of you, get to know you. So the questions I was asking was, you know, why are you here? You know, what is it that you want to do? And for the first time, a lot of people felt, hang on a minute, this question is about me. It's not about somebody telling me what I should do or I should be. It's me being given the opportunity to be able to assess this for myself. So it was different. Yes.
Isn't it sad though that it takes, you know, it takes a skilled person as yourself to actually come in and get people to look at themselves. I've seen a video, I'm not sure where you were, but it looked like, I know there's a call center, I can't remember, or was it the BBC?
Oh, that was the European Commission in Brussels.
Oh, is that what it was?
It was the
you
European
had
Commission.
the whole room marching around with energy.
It was about over 5. Yeah, well, yes, it was. Yeah, probably 2,000 people. It was.
Yes. They were all out of their seats. And they were marching with purpose, with purpose. You had this whole room in the palm of your hands, but also you could feel the energy from those people wanting to feel their purpose.
Yes, absolutely. And I tell you what about that was really brilliant, because they'd flown me into Brussels.
Yeah.
And of course, the European Commission is massive, so the setup is very restrictive. You know, you have your own space.
Yeah.
And so when I came in with my PA, and for the first time to look at the space, and I was going to be presenting, I was the keynote speaker for the conference, for the two-day conference, and I was going to be presenting, and I came in there, and my PA looked at me, she went, oh my gosh, George, this is not your scene. And I'm thinking, well, yes, because I don't do the constraints.
Yeah.
And but immediately in my mind, I'm thinking, I will make it my scene.
You
and,
did.
And I did. So I went in there, and I thought, well, I've got nothing to lose. So I went in and got everybody. I think everybody was almost shocked. They didn't even know when they left their seats.
Yeah.
And the irony was, the next speakers after me, because they were all giving their tags to sit, you know, behind the desk.
Yeah, yeah.
And one after the other, they say, well, if Joy can do it, so can I. So nobody sat where they were asked to be
Really?
They all came into the audience and started to connect.
Yeah.
So
isn't that beautiful?
But it's incredible, because people, you see, I have from a very early age, I've always had a great passion for people. And the three things people want. People want to be listened to.
Yeah.
People want to be valued. People want to be made to feel special.
Yeah.
See, they're not there to be used. I mean, when those three things are there, then you can get people to really begin to create that rapport. And those are the things, it's a basic human needs, you know.
Wow, the basic human needs.
It's basic human needs, to be listened to be loved, to be appreciated. I mean, it is.
Yeah.
Connect to those things in people. You will find that people actually, you know, so we don't come in from assumption, we don't come in from a place of judgment, we don't come in from a place of criticism. When you allow someone
It's
to
not hard though to practice, no judgment, no criticism.
It is, and I tell you why I practice that. I was a consultant for Park Prison.
Oh wow, well done to you.
Park Prison for a number of years.
Listen, my father-in-law was in there a couple of years back. You know what I mean? He was a gangster in his days. For sure. Oh yeah, truly.
So I was there. I worked with the staff, and then there was an opportunity that came for me to work with the prisoners.
Wow.
So
listen, let me applaud you, because you know what, they are human beings that deserve.
Well, absolutely.
Stars.
So when it was all arranged to do some workshops with the prisoners, and they came to me and they said, you know, would you like us to tell you what they're in for, you know, get some information? And I said no, and I went, oh. And I said, no, I don't want to know. I said, don't tell me what they're in for. Don't tell me their names. I don't want to know.
Yeah.
I said, because I don't want anybody to tarnish my perception of these people. When I go in there, I'm going to see what they present to me. And I'm going to work with them. I'm going there with the perception that these people have agreed to come to me, have agreed to work with me. That in itself is incredible. And that is my starting point. So the vision of them, but anyway, so it went well, but this is the irony, it was really funny. So we did that, and we had the evaluation forms, and most of them filled the evaluation forms, and it was fantastic. They got great results. Then a week after, a letter came to my letterbox, and it said Park Prison. So I'm thinking, they wouldn't pay me by check, so why am I getting a letter from Park Prison? So it's been odd. So I picked up the letter, and I opened it, and it was an evaluation form from one of the prisoners. He had taken time to really fill it in, reflect his thoughts, reflect how he felt, and then when he came to the box of any other comments, he said, "Joy for Prime Minister."
Brilliant. I could see how that could work though, girl. Do you know what I mean? We would bring all the countries together. Imagine there's no countries. It's amazing. But here's the thing, formality says we break the law when we do break the law. But I always believe that, we only break life because we're broken in the first place. And we become broken because we are forced to be broken. We don't come here broken. We are somewhat institutionalized in life to become broken, and then we remain broken because it's all we know, until we meet someone that has the emotional glue to fix us back. Generally, those people like yourself, Joy, that understands what emotional glue is. You see the layers. You see those beautiful bright layers that are in between the emotional broken layers of individuals, and it doesn't take a lot. Once someone realizes that about self-love actually feels pretty good. When you get that feeling of self-love, then the glue starts to put itself together fairly quickly, and that's what you do. You are definitely the glue, the emotional glue, in globally.
And it's relating, isn't it, Paul? Exactly what you just said is relating to people where they're at.
Yeah.
See, when we start to kind of, criticize people, we forget that even within our own self, we were once there.
Yes.
Do you understand?
Oh, yeah.
We were once there. So, when we look at people and we start to see them, and one of the things that really gives me juice is seeing the potential. You see, and that is what true leadership is about.
Yeah.
True leadership, yes, is about influencing, but more so, true leadership is about seeing the potential and having that commitment to help unleash that potential in that individual.
Let me just touch on what you said, because you talk about leadership. It's like when I talk about leadership, I have this corporate, layer that goes through my veins. Sadly, may I say. But when you talk about leadership, you put leadership in life. You really do have this organic feel to what leadership means when you talk about it compared to when I talk about it. I almost feel like mine is a lesser division. If we look at first division, second division, third division, I feel I'm in second division trying to make first division in what my understanding of leadership is. But yours is very powerful because you put everybody in a leadership position in life.
Yes.
In life, and then somewhat you merge maybe the corporate bit into that, but your umbrella is all about life.
It is, and you're spot on, because you see, we're all leaders. I mean, and when you say, when I did a lot of my programs, and I have a coaching program on self-leadership, so I'm very passionate about self-leadership, and that's the category that most of us fall into. Because when you say, if you went to a big room, and you do incredible conferences, Paul, I've seen you.
Bless you.
And when you do that, we say, okay, how many people here will put their hands up if you're a leader?
Yeah.
Half the room would, or maybe 20%. Because people don't see themselves as leaders.
Yeah.
Yet, every day, when they wake up, they are leading themselves. Consciously or unconsciously. You're either leading your kids by example, Whether you accept it or not, you are leading someone.
Yeah.
You see. So whether they call you a leader or not is irrelevant.
Yeah.
The point is, you at some point, the minute you walk out this door, you interviewing me, you praising the wonderful lady that brought you coffee, you are influencing. You're influencing
Wow.
all the time. You see.
It's like a
So
broadband of influencing always going
that's
on.
it. But imagine when we come back to that word intentionality.
Yeah.
When you are intentional and you use that word conscious of what you're doing, then you are able to go, oh wow, I need to be mindful how I see, how I speak, how I
Yeah.
look at people, even how I speak about myself.
Yeah.
You see, so those are the first point of that self-leadership. So if that is not developed in the self, because it's through that self-leadership that you develop your character, you develop your authenticity,
Oh,
you
wow.
know, you develop that strength, you develop what is it that your purpose.
Yeah.
So that is where it comes into that leadership. So when we look at leaders today and we say, okay, why aren't the leaders giving us what we want? Why aren't the leaders taking us or instigating or or bringing or driving the change that is so needed? And that's because sometimes most of our leaders themselves are broken, because leadership is a very lonely place.
Yeah.
Where do they go to?
Yeah.
You see, and that is where that whole debate about, can you lead someone when you have not first understood who you are and what you want to lead, or who you want to lead?
Do you think, and I want to come in, I want to deep dive a little into your personal life and things, not too much, of course, but...
Oh, feel free.
Do you think that there are too many one-pint leaders trying to fill 10-gallon employees? Effectively, you know, they'll give the best one pint they can as a leader. But they look at, you know, right now we have businesses that are looking for 10-gallon employees that are prepared to come in with their own mindset, their own ideas, to bring in character into the business. But yet we have a bunch of leaders, and I say this with the greatest respect, that, as you say, haven't done the work on themselves. So they're stuck at this one pint level, and then they are trying to fill 10-gallon employees. And that's why these people just move on and keep moving, because they're not being fulfilled where they are.
Yes.
So, you know, we're in a
But
modern age. It's like, come on, leaders, develop yourself, because you can't fill a 10-gallon person if you've only got a one pint attitude.
Absolutely. And back to what you're saying is that you've heard the saying, isn't it? People quit people, not organizations.
Yeah.
People quit leaders and not organizations. Because a lot of the time, the reason people have left employment, or very great people have left, is because, you know, of the leadership.
Yeah.
Or something is not going right, or the
Yeah.
managers. So if you look at it from that perspective, it means that you can better serve others from a perspective of you haven't done the work on yourself. It keeps coming, because it's that self that's where decisions comes from,
Yeah.
good or bad.
Yeah.
Is where that authentic leadership comes from, is where transformational leadership comes from. So if you as a leader, you know, are not taking that time to explore and to understand, it means that such leaders get to a high leadership position and they start to feel threatened. They start to feel insecure, because really, whether you think about yourself, whether you do work on yourself, your staff are coming up.
Yeah.
And if there's no role model, they will take over.
Yes.
So there's always room to
Organically
overtake.
that would happen.
They will, no,
wouldn't it?
but they will.
Yeah.
So really, leadership now is, for me, is moving beyond the title. You see, because a lot of people are settling for the title, or I am a leader. But what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know, to be able to maximize that leadership, to be able to draw upon its potential. What are you doing? You see, and that's where, if you're not working on yourself, then you just give yourself a few years' time and you will never be remembered. So there are people who have called themselves leaders, but they haven't left a legacy.
Maybe we should change the word leader and create the word influencer instead. So you have an accountability. Because I think people have lost the accountability to what the word leader means. And they're running on the ego, strength of the word, rather than the understanding of the word.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
A lot of that happens, doesn't it?
That's right.
You know, it's like, I'm a leader, I'm done now, I'm there. It's like, no, you've just started.
Yes.
You've just started,
It has to be a holistic approach. When I work with leaders, it has to be, for me, is a holistic approach, because it's all about the leader.
Yeah.
And that's why in the pandemic, a lot of the people that were affected were leaders, because they had associated their leadership position to who they were.
Okay.
And when that was no longer there, they were no longer going to the offices, they were no longer doing all that big, commanding, do this, you do that, I'm the leader, and they were in their own houses, something happened, you see. Because
identity loss,
well,
eh?
precisely. And some people went into depression because there wasn't anything that they were hanging on. They hadn't developed their values. As a leader, what are your values? Because your values are ultimately what drives you. When was the last time you reviewed your values as a leader? When was the last time you put a plan in terms of mentorship? When was the last time you put a succession plan in place? When was none of those things. And that is what the hidden work of a leader is always about. Leadership is about people. My definition of leadership is that leadership is about representation of self and others. You've got to first represent yourself, and then you represent others in that leadership journey.
Wow, Joy, this is, let's move on. I still want to move on, but I just want to keep going back to everything we talked about, but it's not fair. So here's the thing. So, again, so transformational coach, you work with leaders, you work with people from all walks of life. That's what I love about you, you're an open book in that way there. So you only got to put in Joy Ogeh-Hutfield and you'll find you anyway. We don't have to do the whole website thing and that, because put in Joy Ogeh-Hutfield and there's only one like her. You'll find you. Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, you're out there on all these things for sure. But if I really wanted to make contact with you, how would I do that?
So yes, I mean, it will still be the website, because that would be great. You can see the different things that I do. So that's www.joytransformationcoach.com. And then on LinkedIn at Joy Ogeh, O-G-E-H Hutfield. So, and the same on Facebook. So you can, and you can actually see the different books. Talk about, I've written 5 books so far.
5 books.
Secret to Motivating Your Team. You've got Purpose Made Easy, Joy Made Easy. You've got The Reflection of Your Soul.
What's your next? What's your latest book? Let's have a look at this.
How to Master True Self-Confidence.
Wow. Now, here it is, guys. Let me just get that up there. I mean, you just got to. Because I know that when you put a book together, you make people work in the book. You make people see themselves. And actually, I have one of your books up in my office, and it's always the one that stands above the rest for me, because it's like a book I like to look at and remind me of the importance of why I'm here. And that's what you do with your books. And I'm guessing this is out there, How to Master True Self-Confidence.
That's right.
Self-confidence, again, is such a diluted word, self-confidence. It can be almost like moment to moment instead of having a life within you. Does that make sense, Eden?
Yes.
We can synthetically force self-confidence rather than organically have it within us.
Yes, I mean, of course, the saying, isn't it? Fake it until you make it. So that has become a very popular phrase. But really, why do you want to fake anything? Because it is the effort of faking it is too intense, to be fair. So you might as well take time and do the real thing. So
I love that.
So
Faking is too intense. You're so right.
It is intense.
Do you know,
you've got to keep it up.
I did that for the first 10 years of my career.
You've got to keep
Fake
it up.
it till I make it, and
It's
then I went into burnout.
Yeah.
I did. I burnt out because I faked it too long. I'll say these things. It's important for you to understand that. If you fake things, it means you're not being your authentic self.
That's right.
Your purpose is smudged.
Yes.
And then what happens? You live in this illusion of a reality. And I was there for 10 years. Don't get me wrong. I had a bit of a roller coaster 10 years, and there's some good memories there. But if I really look back at how much that grew the last 10 years, actually didn't. My first 10 years didn't grow my second 10 years of my career, because my first 10 years were very unauthentic, because I was practicing at the highest level imposter syndrome. So taking imposter syndrome into my business 100% meant that I wasn't authentic in the way I was practicing. My intention was to be, but because I had that imposter syndrome, and I've seen this in a lot of individuals in high end, or in any aspect of layer of life, really, is that when you have that imposter syndrome and you are loyal to it, then you live in basically business envy and life envy.
That's right.
And that was 10 years of my life. The 11th year, I burnt out for 3 months because I was living somebody else's energy, not my own.
That's right.
And a big part of that change was a lot of the words that you shared with me. Without even realizing it, you're an antidote for sure. What do you feel about when we talk about, imposter syndrome? And, that is out there.
Yes, it is. I mean, it's one of the things that I deal with in the book.
In this book here.
In imposter syndrome. And I call it a confidence thief.
Oh,
Because
wow! it was. I almost got emotional at that there, Joy.
yeah. It's a thief that
yeah,
steals all the joys, your capabilities, because you know when you come into that imposter syndrome, and and I asked the question, how do we stop it? Is to say to yourself that you're not an imposter. You see, because having that imposter syndrome where you kind of feel that you're a fraud, and all the people are going to catch you out, and as you say, you're kind of faking it and the rest of it. And a lot of the time, imposter syndrome comes from comparison, self-comparison.
That's life envy now.
That's it. That's life envy. So when you're comparing yourself to, oh God, I'm not as good as that, or they're gonna, or what I'm doing is not good enough. So sooner or later they're gonna find out that I'm not really that good about it. So
God, that's what I was for 10 years.
Yeah.
Wow, this book is too late, man. Where were you 10 years ago when I was on my hands? And I'm open about these things that I said a lot in those days that effectively weren't true, but where I wanted to be, but I claimed to be there before I was.
Yeah.
And once you've been through it, you can see it clearly in other people also. Yes. And I want to say, listeners, don't judge people when they are presenting what is a part of themselves that isn't, not going to say not true, but is envious of others. Because it's a sad place to be. It's a hard place to live.
It is, and that's because it comes out. Imposter syndrome also, is very much linked to self-doubt as well.
Yeah.
So it's a whole thread. And then when we begin to do that, it comes into the self-sabotage. We know we shouldn't be doing, and then we do it, and then it's like, that's it. It's almost that kind of self-fulfilling prophecy as well. Yeah. So there are different ways in which you can really start to tackle that, and that's why I keep coming back to that word self.
Yeah.
We don't do enough about ourselves. If we don't, nobody needs to know you better than ourselves. We tease, oh, my husband knows me better than I do. My friend knows me. That is an insult. No one.
Wow.
Yes, nobody should ever know you better than you know yourself.
I love that.
There's no niceness about that. For somebody to know you better than you know yourself. Yeah. That means you must have been doing so much to be spending time with them that they know you more and less time with you because you don't know you. So reverse it.
Joy, man, that was deeper than deep. That was awesome. You look how good it is, guys. Do you know what I mean? Really, really. Let me ask you another question. You're very motivated as a person. Not organically, you're that way. But do you find that this way of life? Now, I'm going to say being motivated is easier than not being motivated, but we don't know what that feels like until we actually look at it. But do you find you're a real person? You're a mom with beautiful children, by the way. I mean, your husband has the same haircut as myself, so he's definitely a beautiful man, although way punching above his weight. But, do you find that, I'm Joy, I'm a human being. There are days that I have to work on my motivation. There are days I have to work on myself.
Absolutely.
I'm why I ask this because people got this impression that
it is. I'll give today as an example. For the last 2 days, I woke up and I still got up the 4:30, but I wasn't feeling 100%. And I thought, oh, hang on a minute, but I have got commitments. I was seeing you. There's no way I was going to cancel that. Forget it.
Bless you.
If I had to drag myself, but I had to put myself in a different space.
Okay.
See, thoughts are powerful. What I allow to dominate me, I know will pull me in that direction. If I allow myself to feel ill or to feel that I'm not, something is not right with me, or I want to cancel, or I'm not, those are the thoughts that will start to feed my action. So not because I can't get demotivated, but I am conscious. I make a choice.
Wow.
To keep feeding my motivation.
Wow. We are what we eat and we are what we think.
I make a choice.
So effectively what you're saying is, Joy, is that you make sure that you're in charge of your thinking.
I'm in charge, but also, I mean, people say, oh, but Joy, you can't always be motivated all the time. I get it. a lot of the time people are demotivated. It's one big reason. You haven't yet understood why you do what you do. That's the reason.
Wow.
Because if you understood why you did something, come rain, come shine, come anything else, it becomes I can or maybe to a must.
Yeah.
When you say I must, it will be done. Nothing stops you. Nothing stands in your way.
Yeah.
Even you will not stand in your way.
Wow.
That is the power of the why.
I believe there's no problems in life, only puzzles. And today what we've done is we've really, for our audience and our listeners, we've really pieced together what is one of the most important puzzles in life, which is purpose,
That's right.
self-confidence, understanding yourself. And Joy, you do bring it in such a way where it's understandable. For many who talk about motivational coaching, they say it in such a way that you can't understand it because I don't think they understand it for themselves. And that's with the greatest respect to the whole knowledge industry. I'm part of the knowledge industry and I get it. But this has been such an important insight of an opportunity for all our listeners and all our viewers here. And I really do thrive on the fact that you are here, that you're in this country, you're in this world, you're in this life. And I have no doubt that your beautiful children are going to follow through with the philosophies long gone after Joy has got her a milestone put in you very much. It has been beautiful. Thank you ever so much. It's been a privilege spending time with you. You're a very dear friend, but above all, you're a very important person to Mother Nature.
No, thank you
really
so
are.
much, honestly,
Bless
Paul.
you for
Thank you.
what is the most powerful emotional fingerprint I've experienced in many years. Come here, girl. It's been absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much. Absolutely. So to all our viewers, thank you ever so much. Listen, if you enjoyed what you saw today, please subscribe below. Give us a like. Any comments or anything you want to share with Joy, you know to get hold of her, or pass them on and I will share them with her and she'll no doubt.
And I just need to have the last word. I mean, he is incredible, I tell you. So you definitely need to press that like button, and that's important. And, Paul is one of life's rare, incredible, authentic coaches. So do check him out as well, because for him to recognize me, it means that he is that secure, that confident, adding value to other people's life, for him to bring me to be able to complement that. So I just want to really say thank you.
You massively
really
pushed my imposter syndrome button then, do you know what I mean? And that's what it gets like. When you have that and you're working with that and someone says good things about you, you then start to almost backpedal from it.
No backpedaling.
So absolutely. So till this time next week, listeners and viewers, you have an amazing weekend. Bye for now.
Thank you.